Hey everyone, welcome to lesson 9 of the Image Gallery project. In this lesson, we're going to style the image card or create the image card. So a lot going to be going on here, so this might be a little long. I apologize in advance. But again, what we're trying to do is capture these elements inside of the section, the division tag, the div tag, that has the image, the site, and the paragraph. They're all different elements, and we want to target some styling behavior to apply across all three. So that brings us to something. Let's head back to our friends at W3 Schools, and let's go into our HTML tutorial. So we're going to go a little bit backwards here. Nothing wrong with that. And we're going to head down to something called HTML classes. And HTML class is an attribute used to specify a class for an actual element. Here is the key. Multiple HTML elements can share the same class. So often the attribute class is used to point to a class name in the style sheet. It could also be used with JavaScript. And take a look down here. This example is giving you actually the style in the header. You know at this point now we will do our styling in a separate file, but this is just for simplicity of the example. So notice here within style we have the selector is now .city, and then everything is styled accordingly. So where's that .city coming from? Inside of this div. So the attribute, remember attributes, HTML attributes go inside the first tag or the opening tag, and it starts with class equals and then the value of the attribute in quotes. So we're naming everything inside of that div, so that's the H2 and that's the paragraph, to be a member of the city class. And notice that it also carries down below. When you do that, you could target the styling to the member of the class in general, and that's what we want to achieve here. So let's head back to our HTML and let's clear out this preview momentarily, and we want to have our first class set up. And again, this is within the section. This division element goes all the way down here, includes the image, the site, and the paragraph. We want to establish that with a class name of image card. Okay, so now we're creating this image card for everything inside here. I also want to apply some distinction between the image itself and the site and the paragraph. So I am going to add another div tag in here. Oops, wrong spot. And I'm going to add another div tag right here. So use div snippet. Hit enter, and I want to cut everything from the site to the paragraph. Control X and place it inside of that tag, and then Control V. So let me make sure that the indentations are used correctly, and then I could move those other div tags on up. So let's make sure we have this set up correctly here. This div tag, notice when I place my cursor on it, is the close of the image card. And then this div closes out our next class. So let's put our class in here as an attribute, and class is going to equal card text. And I've got to have that in quotes. Okay. So we've got a little bit going on here. So what I want to do with these divs is put comments. So again, let me highlight, this is the card text class. It includes the site and the paragraph. After that close, I want to put in a comment. And I'm just going to put, this is the close text card class. And then 2 dashes, and we'll close that out. I'm going to copy that. Control C, and I want to put this one. Notice this closes the image card. And I do this, again, this is not required. I do this for myself so that I don't lose sight of which tag is closing which element or elements. So the class allows us to group that. So we've got 2 classes now, image card and card text. Let me just fix that spacing there. And so far so good. So I think that is it for here. All right. Now let's make sure you've saved that. Hit Control S and let's go over to the style sheet. And we are going to look at how to style the actual classes all together. Now I'm going to bring up, actually before I get too far ahead of myself, just to illustrate, I want to bring up the preview again. So here is the preview, and notice now our focus is down here. I want to be certain that everything lines up vertically here. So I want to employ something called Flexbox. And if you go back to our GitHub repo and scroll all the way down, this is a very, very valuable complete guide to Flexbox by CSS Tricks. It's now, CSS Tricks was just recently bought out by DigitalOcean. Awesome web, it's an awesome resource, and I use this a lot. So open that up, and this will give you a complete guide to the idea or concept of Flexbox. Here it is in a nutshell. Basically, it's you set a main container and you set it to flex. And then you could determine that flex direction to be row or column. So every one of these boxes now are the elements inside of the parent container. The parent container has the flex display set up. And then we could go left to right, right to left, horizontally or vertically, however we want. So we could do flex wrap, flex row, and justify content. And we could now use Flexbox to help us align items. So in the left-hand column, this is how to set up the container and how to move the parents around. And then on the right-hand column is the actual properties, things that you could do specifically to the children, which is ordering, growth, shrinking, and so on. So we're not going to get too much into that, but we are going to use Flexbox here a little bit. Okay, so let us go back to style.css, and I want to go underneath the body here. And remember, I want to target the class image card. So I want dot image card, and notice it already says, hey, I got something out there in the attached index.html. I could hit the hotkey with tab. And once we have that, we want to set up display flex, just as we saw. Okay, so image card display flex, and then the flex direction. We want flex column. The default is irregardless, the default will be horizontal, so we are now forcing this to go one on top of the other. Let's see. And then we want to justify content. Center. And align items center. And let me just save that. Let's go back to the CSS, the complete guide to Flexbox again. Depending on how you set flex direction, justify content will be, if we want column, then justify content will work first with the column. So that's off the primary axes. And then align items will move according to the opposite. So with column, align items will go left to right, and justify content will go up and down. If we left flex as horizontal, then it would be just the opposite. So justify content moves all of these items according to the main axes, and the main axis is determined as we set with the original flex direction. Okay, so again, we'll just keep going back to that. That is an awesome resource, but let's continue here with image card. So I also want to apply a little margin here. And I'm going to do top bottom as 7 rem and left right 4 rem. I think that'll be it. And let's stop here and let's bring back our preview, see if that has done anything for us yet. So it does. I don't think we were all ready there. No, let me refresh. Yes. Nothing changed yet. Let's continue on with our image card here. Let's see. Okay. Next, I want to target the image itself. So I want image card and just the image itself here. So what this is doing is it's saying, look inside of the class file image card, and this only applies to any images within the card. And we want width, so this is now the container for the whole image, and we want width to be 100%. And that basically is saying, let the image completely fill this container. We're controlling the container side outside of this class. So now we also want height to be adjusted automatically. I want to add a little bit of border radius, and what that does it adds a little curvature to the image itself. And here we want 30 pixels, so we'll see that. And then finally, I want a similar box shadow effect as we did with our border up top. So pause the video, type in the box shadow here. This is, again, go back to W3 Schools and double check the syntax here, but we're using the shadowing is all black with a opacity in there, and we're affecting 2 different areas. So Control S, save that, pause the video, and come on back. All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, let's go back to our preview, and nothing has changed. And I don't know if you heard my hesitation in my voice earlier. This happens all the time. So when you, not if, but when you get into this situation, do not doubt yourself. It's just something that's silly that's happening, and I could then we have to be good at troubleshooting, and that just comes with practice. So let's see if we could find out what's happening here. Style sheet. I have dot image card. That spelling has to match the spelling over here, but I have a capital, so let me put that as lowercase image card here, and let's see if that may have changed everything for us. And lo and behold, it did. So now let's take a look specifically. We have the image itself within the card is now taking up 100% of the width of the image card itself. But don't forget, so what's going on? Why is it not side to side? Don't forget we have this margin over here intentionally. We have 40 pixels left and right, and that intentionally matches up with the 40 pixels of the heading or the header. So we're trying to be somewhat symmetrical, so that we line up in a way that looks pleasing to the eye. And then the 7 rem is top and bottom here. So our border radius gave us the curvature look to the image itself, and you could see a little bit of the box shadow here too. So it gives it a 3D look, very similar to the shadow up top. Okay, so it looks like things are taking pretty well. When we come back with the next video, we are going to finish up the styling on the image card. So let's recap a little bit here. We introduced the idea of the class attribute that allows us to target specific groups of elements within that are different within a section or within a container. And our main container is the div class image card, but then we have another sub-container, card text. We haven't touched that yet, we will. But we're using the class attribute to actually target that. So that's in our HTML now, and it allows us to style directly to that grouping. So that's image card. Don't forget, we touched a little bit on Flexbox too, and we will come back to this guide often. But at this point, we will see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around, everyone.